Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, text number 31. śrī-bhagavān uvāca jñānaṁ parama-guhyaṁ me yad vijñāna-samanvitam sarahasyaṁ tad-aṅgaṁ ca gṛhāṇa gaditaṁ mayā. śrī-bhagavān uvāca jñānaṁ parama-guhyaṁ me yad vijñāna-samanvitam sarahasyaṁ tad-aṅgaṁ ca gṛhāṇa gaditaṁ mayā. śrī-bhagavān uvāca. The Personality of Godhead said, jñānaṁ, knowledge, knowledge acquired, parama, extremely, guhyaṁ, confidential, me, of me, yat, which is vijñāna, realization, samanvitam, coordinated, sarahasyaṁ, with devotional service, tad, of that, aṅgaṁ ca, necessary paraphernalia, gṛhāṇa, just try to take up, gaditaṁ, explained, mayā, by me. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Nitai Gauranga. The Personality of Godhead said, knowledge about me, as described in the scriptures, is very confidential. Knowledge about me, as described in the scriptures, is very confidential, and it has to be realized in conjunction with devotional service. The necessary paraphernalia for that process is being explained by me. You may take it up carefully. Translation with repetition. The Personality of Godhead said, knowledge about me, as described in the scriptures, is very confidential, and it has to be realized in conjunction with devotional service. The necessary paraphernalia for that process is being explained by me. You may take it up carefully. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma is the topmost devotee of the Lord within the universe. And therefore, the Personality of Godhead replied to his four principal enquiries in four important statements which are known as the original Bhagavatam in 4 verses. These were Brahma's questions. 1. What are the forms of the Lord, both in matter and in transcendence? 2. How are the different energies of the Lord working? 3. How does the Lord play with his different energies? 4. How may Brahma be instructed to discharge the duty entrusted to him? The prelude to the answers is this verse under discussion, wherein the Lord informs Brahma that knowledge of him, the supreme absolute truth, as is stated in the revealed scriptures, is very subtle and cannot be understood unless one is self-realized by the grace of the Lord. The Lord says that Brahma may take the answers as he explains them. This means that transcendental knowledge of the absolute supreme being can be known if it is made known by the Lord himself. By the mental speculation of the greatest mundane thinkers, the absolute truth can be understood. The absolute truth cannot be understood. The mental speculators can reach up to the standard of impersonal Brahman realization. But factually, complete knowledge of transcendence is beyond the knowledge of impersonal Brahman. Thus it is called the supreme confidential wisdom. Out of many liberated souls, someone may be qualified to know the personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also said by the Lord himself that out of many hundreds of thousands of people, one may try for perfection in human life, and out of many liberated souls, one may know him as he is. Therefore, the knowledge of the personality of Godhead may be attained by devotional service only. Sarahasyaṁ means devotional service. Lord Krishna instructed Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita because he found Arjuna to be a devotee and friend. Without such qualifications, one cannot enter into the mystery of the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, one cannot understand the personality of Godhead unless one becomes a devotee and discharges devotional service. This mystery is love of Godhead. Therein lies the main qualification for knowing the mystery of the personality of Godhead. And to attain the stage of transcendental love of Godhead, regulative principles of devotional service must be followed. The regulative principles are called vidhi bhakti, or devotional service of the Lord, and they can be practiced by a neophyte with his present senses. Such regulative principles are mainly based on hearing and chanting of the glories of the Lord, and such hearing and chanting of the glories of the Lord can be made possible in the association of devotees only. Lord Chaitanya therefore recommended 5 main principles for attaining perfection in the devotional service of the Lord. The first is association with devotees, hearing. Second is chanting the glories of the Lord. Third, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the pure devotee. Fourth, residing in a holy place connected with the Lord. And fifth, worshipping the deity of the Lord with devotion. Such rules and regulations are parts of devotional service. So, as requested by Lord Brahma, the personality of Godhead will explain all about the 4 questions put forward by Brahma and others also, which are parts and parcels of the same questions. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om ajnana-timirandhasya jnānāṅ-shalakaya chakshurunmilitan ena tasmai śrī-gurave namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So these are words spoken by the Lord. This is one of the famous verses of the Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada often quoted this. And this is a prelude to the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, which is coming soon. śrī-bhagavān uvāca. Jñānaṁ parama-guhyaṁ me yad vijñāna-samanvitam sarahasyaṁ tad-aṅgaṁ ca gṛhāṇa gaditaṁ mayā. Me jñānaṁ parama-guhyaṁ. The Lord is saying, knowledge about me, me jñānaṁ parama-guhyaṁ, is very confidential. Yad vijñāna-samanvitam. Samanvitam, coordinated, in conjunction with, full of, endowed with. These are all the senses. Even Srila Prabhupada has explained in different places. Samanvitam, to mean full of, endowed with, coordinated with, in conjunction with. This knowledge, jnana, is vijñāna-samanvitam. That knowledge is not just some dry knowledge. It is vijñāna-samanvitam. Yad, which is, that it is qualifying jnana. Jnana which is vijñāna-samanvitam. And sarahasyaṁ, along with that, there are some mysterious aspects about it. Sarahasyaṁ should also be understood. And tad-aṅgaṁ ca, there are certain anga. Anga simply means parts. Like body has many angas. So it just can mean anga. Tad-aṅgaṁ ca. So, jnana about the Lord also has vijñāna in it, or it is imbued with vijñāna. And also there is the rahasyam aspect and the tad-aṅgaṁ aspect, and all of this gṛhāṇa. Please take it up. Gaditaṁ mayā gaditaṁ. I am now going to explain. Gṛhāṇa means please take up, accept it. Gṛhāṇa means to, like the eclipse. Gṛhāṇa means to accept it. So, the personality of Godhead said, śrī-bhagavān uvāca, knowledge about me, me jñānaṁ, as described in the scriptures, is very confidential. Parama-guhyaṁ. Yad vijñāna-samanvitam, and it has to be realized in conjunction with devotional service. The necessary paraphernalia for that process, tad-aṅgaṁ, is being explained by me, gaditaṁ mayā. You may take it up carefully, gṛhāṇa. And in the purport, Prabhupada has explained some important things. Prabhupada has summarized the 4 questions that Brahma has asked, which Lord is going to reply. And that constitutes the core of the Bhagavatam. That's why it is called Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So, Lord spoke these 4 verses, and the 4 verses have been expanded into 18,000 verses. When Vyasadeva spoke, no, not when Vyasadeva, when sages of Naimisharanya spoke to Shaunakadayaha, Shaunaka and other sages. So it has taken the final form as sages of Naimisharanya discussed. Before that, Shukadeva Goswami described this to Parikshit. Before that, Vyasadeva described this to Shukadeva Goswami. Before that, Lord described this to Brahma. And the first description of Lord Brahma, of the Lord to Lord Brahma, consisted of the 4 shlokas which we are discussing. And today's verse is a prelude to those 4 verses. This is how the structure of the Bhagavatam knowledge is. And these 4 questions came up, these 4 verses came up because Brahma had asked 4 questions. And what are those 4 questions? What are the forms of the Lord, both in matter and in transcendence? The Lord and His form, the form of the Lord in matter, in the material world, and in transcendence. There is something beyond the material world, and in transcendence, what is Lord's form? Second, how are the different energies of the Lord working? The Lord has multiple energies. He has got the material energy, He has got the spiritual energy, He has got the living entities, and He has got jnana energy, He has got bala energy, He has got kriya energy. Like this, the Lord has multifarious energies, potencies. And how are the different energies of the Lord working? How does the material energy work? Mayā under His superintendence. So the material energy, the material world is seen as an energetic manifestation of the Lord. This is the way the Vedic perspective is. We see this material energy and we see that it is the manifestation of the energy of the Lord. Prabhupada gives an example. Sometimes it happens in our country. You are in a room and suddenly, because it's warm and you have turned on the fan, or it is dark and so you have lights on, and suddenly power goes off. Famous in our country. And then we wait for some time, and then we do whatever we are doing. And then after that we'll say, let's go for the next work, we have to go out. And everybody moves out, locks the door and goes out. After 6 hours or 8 hours, they come back to the room and see the lights are all on and the fan is running. Right? That happens, right? And first thing what everybody does is go look for the switch and turn it off. When they see the fan turning, they don't see the fan turning. They see electricity making it run. They see electricity. That's why you look for the switch to turn off to save power. Why is it getting wasted? Light, why is it getting wasted? When you see the fan turning, you see electricity. Electricity is behind the fan turning. You don't go look for a stick, let me stop the fan turning. It should not turn. No, you don't do that. When you see the fan turning, you see electricity. When you see a light bulb glowing, you see electricity. You see something that is behind it, something that is causing it. This is the way we look. In the same way, when we see the material world, a pure devotee, he doesn't see the material world. He sees it is an energy of the Lord. He sees the Lord and the Lord's energetic manifestation. So, Brahma's question was, how are the different energies? So this Lord has many energies. And how are all these different energies working? Third question, how does the Lord play with his different energies? One was the work, another is the play, in the sense of the living entities are one of the energies of the Lord. And how does the Lord perform different activities with the different living entities? In their impure state, how does the Lord play? And in the pure state of the living entities, how does the Lord play? He wants to know. And number 4, how may Brahma be instructed to discharge the duty entrusted to him? Brahma has a certain duty to discharge, and how may Brahma, he wants to have direction. How will I go about doing the duty that I have been entrusted to me? And the duty that he has been entrusted is to create the universe. And the universe has to be created in a certain way. It fulfills the intent of the Lord. Otherwise, he cannot do something on his own. Just like an owner of a property, he calls an architect and says, please build this house for me like this. Build this office for me like this. And then the architect designs it and then goes about. So the intent is given by the owner. In the same way, Brahma is the architect and the intent is given by the owner, by the Lord. And if the owner tells, please build a house for me, and the architect goes and builds one factory for him, then what will he? The owner will come and say, what have you done? Where will I sleep? You have built a big factory shed. You see? So it doesn't fulfill the owner's intent. In the same way, Brahma wants to be careful that he carries out the act of creation so that it fulfills the desires of the Lord. So these are the 4 important questions Brahma has asked, and we will see the answers by the Lord. And in this verse, the Lord is saying that this knowledge about me is confidential. Raja vidya raja guhyam pavitram idamuttamam pratyaksha avagamam idam tute guhyatamam pravakshyami anasuyave. Many places, Krishna also explains in the Gita that this is confidential knowledge. And what is the meaning of confidential knowledge? Knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, is confidential. I don't know if I've told you this story long ago. When I was still in the college, I had come in touch with Krishna consciousness. And then one very senior ISKCON devotee had come to the temple. So we were a few friends. We came from the institute and then there was a question-answer period. And so I asked this question. Why does the Bhagavad Gita say it is the most confidential knowledge? Because confidential means it should be hidden. It should be locked up. But Bhagavad Gita is available. You pay 100 rupees, you will get a copy. You'll get the confidential knowledge. And ISKCON, we have published millions of copies and distributed. And even before us, Gorakhpur Press has, Gita Press has published lakhs and crores of copies and distributed all over the country. It's all there, everywhere there. Where is the confidentiality? So the person whom I had asked this question, he said, where does it say in the Gita? I said, Maharaj, it says in the 9th chapter. So he said, get the Gita. And he got the Gita. And then he made me read Raja Vidya Raja Guhyaṁ Pavitram Idamuttam. And then he said, continue reading the purport. And then I read the purport. It's a long purport. It's about 3 pages or so. So I read 1 page and then turned, there were many more. There are another paragraph. And then he said, now do you understand? And I didn't want to say no, out of respect. I said, yes, it's very good. He left it at like that. And then afterwards we all went out back to the college. And then another one, there was one more senior to me. And he asked me, did you understand? And I didn't want to appear stupid probably or something. I said, yes, I understood. See, very good. And he also said like that. But I had not understood. Why is this called confidential knowledge?
Because it is not easily accessible. Even though it is there, you need certain kind of qualification.
Right, that's the important thing.
It's not like Sanskrit astrology.
Yeah.
First time in Sri Temple, the Brahmana was not educated, and all educated Brahmana were laughing at him. So Krishna said, of course, he has a PhD, that's the same year.
Yes.
So that's not just something like educated people who are
Right.
no, of course, he is certain man you will
Correct. Correct. So it requires confidential knowledge means this is a knowledge which can be understood by those who have certain qualifications. Yeah. Started understanding. So, and Prabhupada, so it took for a long time for me. I used to ask many other people, all devotees also. And then after 99, when we had changed our whole system, then one day in the Veda base I was searching, what is it's already about 17 years I have searched, not understood. And then suddenly I found Prabhupada explaining with an example. Nice example Prabhupada gives. There is a bank, and somebody from the street walks into the bank, and he goes to the cashier and he asks, how much money is there in the bank? Cashier will not tell. Cashier will mostly call the security guard and have him thrown out. After some time, the manager of the bank, he is making his rounds, and he comes to the cashier and he asks, how much money is there in the bank today? And immediately the cashier will stand up, look at his ledger or the computer nowadays and say, sir, there is 14,55,335 rupees, sir. And then manager will say, all right, and go on. Now you see, the man from the street did not have the qualifications to know how much money is there in the bank. How much money is there in the bank is confidential information. We may drive in front of a bank, big bank. Now just let me stop and go and ask how much money is there in the bank. You go and ask somebody, the cashier will not tell. But the manager of the bank, he has the qualifications to access that information how much money is there in the bank. You see? Suppose we meet some donor. We go and meet some donor. And then we ask the donor, how much money you have with you? He will not tell. He will be upset with you. What kind of a sadhu are you? What are you asking? Right? Suppose that same donor gets a phone call, and from his mother. Mother is calling from some far off place. And the mother is asking, Beta, how are you? How are things going on? I hope you are doing well. I hope you have made some savings. How much money you have saved? Where have you kept? I hope it's all safe. Immediately he will say, Mommy, I have done this. I have done this investment. I got this property. I have all these things. Mother has the qualifications to know from the son what my son is doing. Somebody simply walks and meets a donor and asks, how much money you have? He has no obligation to tell. It is confidential knowledge. In the same way, jñānaṁ parama-guhyaṁ me. Knowledge about Krishna, about God, is confidential. That is why when somebody asks the question, show me God, Prabhupada often said, do you have the qualifications to see God? It's actually a very unintelligent question. Have you seen God? Can you show me God? Do we have the qualifications to see God? Just like, say, we have come to Delhi now. If I say I want to see Prime Minister, can I go and see him now? Cannot go and see. You can't see one ordinary Prime Minister of a third world country. You want to see God. It is an unreasonable, unintelligent question. You don't ask such questions normally in the material world. Suppose you go to America, and as soon as you land, you clear, and then you come out of there, now I want to see the President of America. You can go, you can see. Even if you go to Washington, D.C., you cannot see. Even if you go stand in front of White House and say, I want to see, you cannot see. You have to have the right qualifications, right connections, right reason. Then you will be able to see. Oh, I cannot see President of America. I don't think President of America exists. It will be a stupid conclusion. In the same way, jñānaṁ parama-guhyaṁ me. Knowledge about Krishna is a confidential knowledge. And yad vijñāna-samanvitam. Krishna uses this word samanvitam in the Bhagavad Gita also. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattha sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Bhava samanvitaha. Imbued with, full of bhava. In the same way here, this knowledge is vijñāna-samanvitaha. So, vijñāna, jnana and vijñāna, knowledge and realization. These are the two words Srila Prabhupada also explains. Realization means experiential knowledge. And an example Prabhupada gives is, we may read about America in a book. I may read many books. 5 books I will read on America. What is their culture, how they dress, how they speak, how they build their houses, all those things. All that is theoretical knowledge. Then I'll go to America, buy a ticket, go to America, and come out of the airport. Now I see all the 5 books I had read. Now I start experiencing, oh, this is how people live, this is how people look. That is realization. Realization is experiential knowledge. So it is not only knowledge, it is a knowledge that is to be experienced. That is why Krishna says in the Gita, Rajavidya Raja-guhyaṁ pavitramidam uttamam pratyaksha avagamam. Pratyaksha means right in front of our eyes, right in front of our senses. Directly perceivable by the senses. Avagamam means understood. This knowledge is understood by pratyaksha. That is the nature of this knowledge. It is not the just knowledge, theoretical knowledge. You experience this knowledge. You understand it by direct experience. Pratyaksha avagamam. Just like when I went to America, I started experiencing America. In the same way, this knowledge is experiential knowledge. Tad-vijñāna-samanvitam. It is full of vijñāna. This word samanvitam, samyak anvitam. Anvitam means also full of. Samyak means fully full of. Full of. That, it's to emphasize that it is rich with vijñāna. In Hindi, do they say gauravanvitaha? Gauravanvit. That word is there. Anvitaha. Gaurava anvitaha means this person is full, is a respectable person. Glorious person. He should be honored. He should be honorable. Just like we say honorable Prime Minister, honorable Minister. Gauravanvita means Gaurava anvita. Anvita samanvita. Samyak anvitaha. Full of. That's how the word samanvitaha. Vijñāna-samanvitam. Another example Bhagavatam gives, Prabhupada explains also, how this knowledge is vijñāna-samanvitam. Bhaktihi, there is a verse, Lord mentioning in the 11th canto, Bhakti pareshanubhavaha viraktir anyatra trisha ekakalaha. Prapadhyamanasya syuhu tushti pushti anugha tushti pushti kshud apayaha anughasam. In this verse, prapadhyamanasya, prapatti means surrender. Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma bahunam janmanam ante jñānaṁ mam prapadyate. Prapatti. Prapadhyamanasya syuhu. When the path of prapatti, the path of surrender, takes place in this way, how does it take place in which way? It is bhakti pareshanubhavaha viraktir anyatra. These three things come about. Bhakti develops, paresha anubhavaha develops, and virakti in anyatra virakti develops. In this way it develops. Prapadhyamanaha yadashnataha. Just like it is compared, the development of surrender, prapatti, is compared to eating. How is it compared to ashnataha? Ashana means to eat. How is it compared to eating? When you eat, what happens? Tushti pushti kshudapayaha anughasam. When you eat food, when you're very hungry and you eat food, when you're hungry, you're very weak. You're really, craving for food. And then food is given to you and you start eating. Tushtihi. You feel very happy. So relishable this food is. Pushtihi. You become nourished. I am getting strength now. I was not having this strength. Tushti, pushti, kshudapayaha. And my hunger is slowly getting mitigated. Anughasam, as I eat one by one morsel, my relishing is increasing, my nourishment is increasing, and my mitigation of my hunger is gradually getting mitigated. And all of this we experience it when we eat. I take a morsel, put in my mouth, and I don't ask the next person, am I enjoying it? No, you don't have to ask. The next person does not have to tell you whether you are enjoying it. You know it. Tushtihi. And then when you eat, you don't have to ask the next person, am I feeling strong now? No, you know it. It's your self-experience. This vijñāna means a direct self-experience. And then as you eat a few, now you don't have to ask, do you think my hunger is gone? No, hunger going away, nourishment and relishing, everything you will experience yourself. Pratyaksha avagamam, you will understand yourself. In the same way, understanding the Supreme Lord has these three effects. One is bhakti develops. Paresha anubhava, transcendental experience develops. And because of the transcendental experience, kshudapayaha, like mitigation of hunger, mitigation of attraction for material things diminishes. So, just like nobody has to tell us whether my attraction for material things is diminishing or not, I can know it myself. How much I am attracted to material things. See? Sometimes material things are very gross. Sometimes material things are very subtle. Subtle material thing is honor, respect, recognition. That also shows that we are giving so much value for honor. And that means we have not understood that how honor, all these things are just temporary. So, jñānaṁ parama-guhyaṁ me yad vijñāna-samanvitam. It is full of realization. Then, sarahasyaṁ. There is also a rahasya element in it. What is the rahasya? Why is Krishna saying sarahasyaṁ when already he said guhyam? Why is he saying sarahasyaṁ? Sarahasyaṁ means sa is used along with, and that rahasyam means intimate, something very close to the Lord. And that intimate information is pure devotional service, love of God. That's why Prabhupada says here, rahasyam means devotional service. Lord Krishna instructed Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita because he found Arjuna to be a devotee and friend. Without such qualifications, one cannot enter into the mystery of Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, one cannot understand the personality of Godhead unless one becomes a devotee and discharges devotional service. This mystery is love of Godhead. The rahasya, mystery, is love of If you read the 7th chapter, I won't go into it today, there is not much time. 7th chapter is called, what is the title of the 7th chapter? Knowledge of the Absolute. Jnānaṁ teham mayā saktamana partha yogam yunjan madāśrayaha asamshayam samagram mam yathāgnāsyasi tatshrunu. Mam jnānaṁ. It is about knowledge about Krishna. And that is why in the 7th chapter, Krishna, next, soon after that, jñānaṁ teham sa vijñānam idam vakshyāmya sheshataha. This knowledge is understood in terms of vijñāna. Jnānaṁ teham sa vijñānam idam vakshyāmya sheshataha. Yajnātva bhūyonyat nātavyam avashishyate. Knowing which there shall remain nothing else to be known. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatathamapi siddhanam kaschin mam vetti tattvataha. It's all about knowing Krishna. 4 kinds of people know me. 4 kinds of people will never know me. You see? Tribhir gunamayi bhavai ebhi sarvamidam jagat mohitam nabhijanati mamebhya parama-guhyaṁ. You see, this whole material world is influenced by the 3 modes of material nature. And because of that, the whole material world is illusion and does not know me, who am above the material world and above the 3 modes of nature. Mamebhya parama-guhyaṁ. So in the 7th chapter is all about Krishna telling about himself and how the world does not know me. Vedāham samatityāni vartamānāni chārjuna mam tu vedana kaśchana. I know all the living entities. I know the past, I know the present, but the living entities don't know me. It's like a mother or a father telling the child, I am the one who is maintaining you. I am the one who brought you to this world. I am the one who is supplying everything. I am the one who is taking care of you. I am the one who is protecting. Don't you want to know me? Don't you want to recognize me? You live a life indifferent to the father and mother? What kind of a son, what kind of a child are you? We must know Krishna. He's the one who is maintaining us. He's the one who is holding us. That is why Krishna begins the 7th chapter. He ended the 6th chapter by saying, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamo mataha. There are different kinds of yogis, but of all the yogis, one who is so devoted to me, madgatena, antaratmana madgatena. In the depth of his heart, he is devoted to me. You see? And next he begins to say, who am I? If I am saying that the highest yogi is so devoted to me, who am I? I will tell you about that. I'll tell you in terms of jnana and vijñāna, and knowing which you will know everything and there shall nothing else to be known. See, this is how Krishna transitions from the 6th chapter to the 7th chapter, and the entire 7th chapter is about this. So, this Krishna can be understood by pure devotional service. And later on, Krishna is saying in the 7, nobody knows me, people don't know me, the 4 kinds of people don't know me. And in the 18th chapter, finally Krishna says, bhaktyamam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tattvataha. See, in the 7th chapter also he said the same thing. Mam vetti tattvataha. You have to know me in truth. And in the 18th chapter, Krishna is saying, you can know me in truth only by devotional service. Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tattvataha. Tato mam tattvato gnatva vishate tad-aṅgaṁ. And so sarahasyaṁ here refers to pure devotional service. Now what is tad-aṅgaṁ cha? Now pure devotional service is a very advanced stage. Not everybody can come to that. So tad-aṅgaṁ. Tad-aṅgaṁ means that devotion of purity, rahasyam's anga. There are some parts to it, angas to it, some features to it, and if we practice that, we will get that rahasyam, pure devotional service. So, tad-aṅgaṁ cha refers to Vaidhi Bhakti and the various practices of Vaidhi Bhakti. That is called anga. That is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains, taking from all the Vedic literatures, there are 64 angas of bhakti. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described this to Rupa Goswami in Prayag when he was instructing him for 10 days. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, of all the 64 items, there are 5 angas which are very important. And that's how Prabhupada is concluding this purport. You see, such regulated. Now you see how from sarahasyaṁ tad-aṅgaṁ cha, therein lies the main qualification for knowing the mystery of the personality of Godhead. What is that? Pure devotional service. And to attain the stage of transcendental love of Godhead, regulative principles of devotional service must be followed. Angam tad-aṅgaṁ cha. The regulative principles are called Vidhi Bhakti, or the devotional service of the Lord, and they can be practiced by a neophyte with his present senses. Such regulative principles are mainly based on hearing and chanting of the glories of the Lord, and such hearing and chanting of the glories of the Lord can be made possible in the association of devotees only. Lord Chaitanya therefore recommended 5 main principles for attaining perfection in the devotional service of the Lord. Sadhu Sangha, Nama Sankirtana, Bhagavata Shravana, Mathura Shri Murti Rasevana, Mathura Vasa. These are called the 5 angas, tad-aṅgaṁ cha. That's why this is called anga. And now all of this you have to follow because it's mysterious, it's confidential, it is mysterious. And it is full of vijñāna. You cannot figure this out. gṛhāṇa, gaditaṁ, mayā. Gaditaṁ, I will explain. Mayā gaditaṁ, gṛhāṇa. You have to take it up as I have explained. You cannot take it up according to your speculation. You have to take it up as I am explaining. That is why Prabhupada says, this knowledge is not manufactured knowledge. The science knowledge is manufactured knowledge. Group of people will manufacture that knowledge. And then some other group of people will say, this is wrong. And they'll do some experiments and prove it wrong. Then they will go about and say, okay, we will improve it now. Like that it goes on. Whereas this knowledge is evam parampara praptam. It is received in a parampara. It is received. It's not manufactured. Gaditaṁ mayā. Gṛhāṇa gaditaṁ mayā. So please take it up. Krishna is telling. So that is the vijñāna. The knowledge about him is guhyaṁ, vijñāna-samanvitam, sarahasyaṁ, tad-aṅgaṁ. And all these things have to be taken up according to the Lord's direction. These are the points that are covered in this verse. Anyone has any question? Yeah. You see, Vedas, actually, when you take the 4 Vedas, it is full of mantras. It is full of mantras for various gods and demigods to fulfill various material necessities of human society, to fulfill the desires of various human beings. Second, it also has process how to do the yajna, how to chant the mantras. All these are in the 4 Vedas. But the Vedic information in the 4 Vedas is not considered the highest. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nishtraigunya Bhavarjuna. Krishna is also saying in the Bhagavad Gita, the Vedas, it's full of information for people under the modes of material nature, but you have to transcend that. So, higher than the Vedas are the Upanishads. Upanishads are part of the Vedas, but it is considered to have more philosophical knowledge. Prabhupada uses the word, explains this way. Upanishads are the headlines of the Vedas. Sometimes you see in the newspaper, you see headlines. So it is a title given by the reporter or the editor, so in the same way, Upanishads have philosophical knowledge. But now that philosophical knowledge cannot be understood easily unless there are certain examples, and so Puranas are a compilation of kings and sages and incarnations of the Lord, where these tattva, these Upanishadic truths, are demonstrated in somebody's life. All of this is essential for understanding, especially in Kali Yuga. That is why Vyasadeva compiled it in this elaborate way. And Vyasadeva had many scholars, and he has many disciples, many sages under him, and he gave different sages different branches of the knowledge. You go and explain Atharva Veda, you go and explain Sama Veda, you go and explain the Upanishads, you go and explain the Puranas, and you go and explain the Vedanta, you go and explain the Mahabharata. Like this, he delegated. It is then why somebody has to explain Vedas? Because there are many people who are interested in the Vedic knowledge. They can only understand that much. It's like saying if you go to a bookstore, school or college bookstore, then there'll be so many first standard mathematics, second standard mathematics, fifth standard mathematics. Why there is fifth standard math? No, there are students who are of the fifth standard. They can only understand that much. You give them 10th standard mathematics, they cannot understand. So different grade mathematics books are there. In the same way, Vedic knowledge has a hierarchy, and the society, people are like that. And so according to their level of spiritual development, they take to that particular kind of Vedic knowledge. And hence, all of this is available. This is the way the Vyasadeva compiled the Vedic literature, especially for Kali Yuga. Before that, this knowledge was not compiled. It was the Guru. The Guru would be very knowledgeable. He will see the disciple advancing and he will keep giving him. After some time, when he sees the disciple is very qualified, he may say, now you should go to another more qualified than me. And that Guru will tell even more things. And in this way, when you go, highest knowledge and the highest qualification that was being taught was pure devotional service. Anya vilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavrata. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam. So not everybody knew this one. Only few people knew this kind of knowledge. Like this it has happened. Yeah.
But I don't understand that.
Mm.
Realized knowledge is you realize yourself, that knowledge itself comes into realized knowledge when we realize that.
Yeah.
So nobody can impart the realized knowledge to you. So there are, I read two of the Prabhupada only two places or some other. So jnana and vijñāna is not the knowledge and realized knowledge. It's the material knowledge as well as spiritual knowledge. Like the moment just increases Krishna after Lord twins, that whom it atma vayu karma ve daka then there is another nature which is living entity, jeev bhuto mahava and ayu. So Krishna starts saying something you can perceive, like whom it atma and all of us can perceive. So you see that not no need of realization to see that world is made of water, fire, earth, all of us can see. But I am also giving you a spiritual knowledge you can't perceive this. So it's a material knowledge and the spiritual knowledge. It's not knowledge and realized knowledge. That's my question.
Both explanations Prabhupada gives. Phenomenal knowledge and noumenal knowledge. Material, spiritual. Jnānaṁ teham sa vijñānam. So, Prabhupada explains this in terms of material knowledge, spiritual knowledge. He explains in terms of experienced knowledge and theoretical knowledge. He also says one more thing. Vijñāna also means scientific knowledge. So, he uses in the sense of this knowledge is also scientific knowledge. Vijñāna in terms of... So, what happens? In Vedic literature, there are words, acharyas explain it in different ways, in different times, in multiple shades of understanding. It's not that one is correct and one is wrong. These are... Then you are experiencing it. No, you can say in that sense, in another way. I'll give you the process by which you will be able to experience it. That also I'm going to tell you. Because without that process, you cannot experience it. So I'll give you the knowledge, and like here he's saying, sarahasyaṁ, tad-aṅgaṁ cha. Without anga, you will not get that rahasya. Yeah. Two ways. One, I may give you the process, but I also have to give you the blessing for you to realize it. If I just follow mechanically the thing, it is not that by Vaidhi Bhakti by Vaidhi Bhakti we become purified and show to the Lord and the spiritual master that I am practicing this in a nishtha way, and now the spiritual master and the Lord will bless us. In that way also it is given. So these are different ways we can understand, and because Prabhupada has explained both, in both senses. Oh no, if you think that I will read and I will practice and I will get all realization myself, no, it is realization. Lord has to bless us with the realization. That perception, that knowledge will turn. That's why sometimes we come across devotees very good in scholarship if the Vedic literatures, but they'll be after honor, they'll be after this and that, because that it has not become realized knowledge yet. They're not able to perceive that all the truths that are given in the Vedic literature. But they are very well versed, they are doing their sadhana also nicely. Still there is an element that the Lord has to bless us with. Guru has to bless the disciple. And hence, even though simply by doing my sadhana, I will get all the realization, is also no. Lord has to give that. Yeah. Yeah.
Without even practicing sometimes, you will get everything.
If the spiritual master blesses. That is kripa siddha.
That is theoretical one. But once we afternoon we used to be relaxed and when we do, actually we used to enjoy the smoke came out, these two things we missed and something we were quite clean at the bottom. That's called realization. That nobody can give.
Yeah.
So here, theoretical also, but the same thing, there is only thing you realize.
Yeah.
So there can't be two different things called, somebody gave you, Krishna says, jñānaṁ, vijñāna-samanvitam. I'm giving you jnana also, I'm giving it's a philosophy. That you have to do experiment and then with my inputs and I don't find out that knowledge, there could be two things which can be given to a person, knowledge and realization.
Yeah. Realization has to also be given
The blessing part is
by the blessing. So in other words, there is a mystical element which is not there in your science and engineering. You learnt in the theory and then lab you go and do it, you will get it. Whether you don't need, there is no such thing as I need the blessing of the lecturer, only then the gas will come out. Gas will anyway come out. So that's the difference between material knowledge and spiritual. Yes.
Many times when dealing with other devotees, persons around us, there are a lot of, anarthas, a lot of likings, dislikings are based on their nature. Suppose he is acting in such a way, so I may not like or dislike that thing. So, in that way, how we should see this thing? We should develop that nature, we should not develop that enmity because of someone's nature. He is acting in that way, or I become a little, I don't want to talk to you, this, that. So, how we should deal with things, how to take it, this thing, right?
We should always see, you see, anything that we do, we should see that it is beneficial for our spiritual development. Whether it is helping me to serve Krishna, it is increasing my attachment to Krishna, whether it is helping me to purify myself. So, if some association of some, because we also have anarthas, others also have anarthas, we have all come together to practice. So, if somebody's anarthas are really disturbing us and bothering us, we may say, let me be careful with this devotee. Not that we avoid or we try to do some harm to him or any such thing. We don't want to. It's just that because of my anarthas, one may say that I want to be little. So this kind of a selective association, and in that selective association with some closer and with some formal official relation. These are all permitted dynamics of devotee association, especially when we are all contaminated. So there could be a devotee, but lot of materialistic thoughts and ideas, and he'll talk like that and this. So if I associate with him, even I may get contaminated. But I only say Hare Krishna Prabhu and serve him, give him prasadam, do something like that and keep away. Another instruction that Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives is that we should always desire to associate with devotees who are more advanced than us, because that's very beneficial. If there is a more advanced devotee who has got more shraddha, more vairagya, more jnana, and we associate with such a devotee, that will rub on us. We will also get shraddha, we will also get purity, we will also get bhakti, we will also get vairagya. So we associate with devotees who are more advanced than us. That's another important principle. So like this, we must be conscious of these dynamics.
In that way, we may find the faults, or we may develop negative perception about that particular devotee and all. Is that okay?
Not okay. Why should you? So that's why you shouldn't become judgmental. You don't have to keep making judgment. Oh, he's not okay, and then oh, he's not all right. Talking to about others. Not required. Unless it is your duty. Sometimes in the devotional environment, in an association, or in an institution like ours, where that association has been formalized and institutionalized, there are some people who have been given the task, if somebody is making a mistake, point out, correct them. So a devotee who is in that position to tell somebody, he should do it not with an attitude, I am going to find your fault and put you down. With an attitude, I will do it as a service to him. So, that is the qualification of a devotee who can identify a fault and correct, so that he can do it with a sense of service to that devotee. I must serve the devotee. With that attitude, he must be able to do that. So that is also another kind of an interaction that is permitted, not in the sense of finding fault and criticizing like that, and offending. We'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Shri Nitai Gauranga ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.